What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hookshot, and today we will be doing a main card breakdown of UFC Mexico. If you're new to these, my name's Lucas Cohen. This is Rohan Borges. A lot of fun fights on this card, even on the prelims, man. Tons of fun fights. But yeah, we're just going to do a main card breakdown. If you want a full card breakdown and all of our bets, a whole betting breakdown as well, you can just click the link in the description of this video and get that at 50% off. Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to start with the first fight on the main card, and that is Manuel Torres versus Chris Duncan. This is going to be an all-out war. Yeah. And I actually bet this fight in advance. I will just say it here because I fucked up the line. I said Manuel Torres. I think I got him. I told the Discord like 2 months ago, get him at minus 190. I thought I was getting good value there. But he's dropped to like minus 130 now. So I'm going to cash out that bet. I already cashed it out, and I'm going to replace the bet at minus 130 because I can get much better odds. And I'll tell you why I did that in advance. And I'm honestly surprised why the odds dropped. Manuel Torres is a nut in that octagon. I mean, this guy is just all out. And I feel like Chris Duncan isn't really a threat to him. Chris Duncan, this guy, I believe, how many times? He fought twice on the Contender Series, right? The first time against Slava Borshev. Yep. He got brutally knocked out. Yep. And then he fought against Charlie Campbell, got knocked down 3 times. 3 times, and then came back and won.
By knockout.
And he made his UFC debut. Yes, by knockout. But he made his UFC debut, and he seemed composed. And he got the win. But this is why I think the line has gotten a lot closer. People think that he won that fight because of how he fought, but truthfully, his opponent, Yanal Ashmouz, broke his arm in round 1 and could only fight with one arm. This is a guy, Manuel Torres, who's going to have all of his limbs working, and this guy, especially early, is just all power. He's literally a nutcase in the octagon. I love this guy. I think he finds the first round finish, maybe a second round. I'll say first round finish. Give me Manuel Torres to win in devastating fashion. And before I hand it off to you, I mean, that Nicholas Mata knockout in his last fight, elbow out cold. I mean, we don't really see elbow out cold knockouts, that often nowadays. That was just brutal. I think we see something similar in this matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, I got to agree with you, man. I think the difference here is in the technicality. Obviously, you say, one is a wild man, and he is that. But on the other hand, Chris Duncan, he leaves his chin up in the air. The way his stance is so interesting. Like, his hands are up, but they're like so wide of his face. It's just his chin is right there to be hit. And it was hit in that last Contender Series fight that he was on. He got knocked down 3 times, ended up getting the victory. But to your point, it wasn't because of how his opponent fought. It was because of how tough and durable his chin was to be able to survive all that and then being able to come back and win. The difference here is in skill. Manuel Torres, so much more technical on the feet. That elbow in his last fight, so pinpoint accurate. But the thing is, like, he can be crazy in there, but he's still got the wherewithal to find the target and protect himself as well. So, yeah, I got Torres in this one, and it won't be close. So I got finish in round 1. Agreed.
We're both on Manuel Torres by brutal finish. Let's move on to the next fight on this main card. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yasmin Jauregui versus Sam Hughes. Yasmin Jauregui, a fighter I was very, very high on in her UFC debut. I mean, she went out there and had an incredible fight against Yasmin Lucindo, who's also a great fighter. Jauregui won that fight in a close decision, but everybody knew she won that fight. I believe she had one more fight or two. Against Estela Nunes, I want to say. She beat Estela Nunes, and then her last fight came in July, and she got knocked out in 19 seconds, I want to say, by Denise Gomes. I can't believe I remember that. 19 seconds. I mean, she just got absolutely starched. The chin, it's questionable. The striking defense, it's questionable, but that's not something she's going to have to worry about against Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes is just a gritty fighter who's going to look to survive early and take you down. That's not the style you want to have against Jauregui. I mean, she's not a power puncher. Jauregui does not gas out. Jauregui is incredible cardio. She's got damn good takedown defense. This is a perfect stylistic matchup for Jauregui, and I think that's why she's like minus 440 right now, because although she didn't look good at all in her last fight and got absolutely starched, this is the perfect stylistic matchup. And not only that, she's in Mexico. The crowd's going to be behind her. A lot of these Mexican fighters, I'm siding with them on this card, and Heri is one of them.
Yeah.
I'll be picking her to win.
Maybe
she gets it done inside the distance. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll say Heri decision.
Yeah, bro. I was asking you, maybe could we possibly see a full sweep on the main card? I mean, because I'm loving the Mexicans at home with that home crowd cooking. I mean, it's gonna be something. And yeah, to your point, I mean, I can't disagree with anything you just said. Yasmin Heri, she's, I mean, perfect spot right here against Sam Hughes. Obviously, the Denise Gomez knockout did not look good, but again, I mean, Sam Hughes doesn't have that power. She just does not have that power. Her fighting style is very basic. She's, quick 1-2s on the feet, nothing crazy. She'll try to take you down, but she's not going to really do much down there anyways. And yeah, to your point, Ortega, good takedown defense. She's going to be able to keep the fight standing. And yeah, she should get this fight done easily with the home crowd in her corner. I think finish, right? I think I gotta say I don't know, because Sam Hughes is real durable, so maybe I won't go finish. I'll go decision. That's my pick. Yasmin Heri by decision.
That's fair. I'm just curious now that you mentioned. I haven't really looked into. I don't believe Sam Hughes has been finished.
She's been finished one time by knockout and once by submission. It says. Yeah, she got
Doctor stoppage. I actually remember that against Tisha Torres, because that was on the Figueiredo Moreno card.
And then Demopolis inverted triangle. That's nice.
That's before she came to the UFC though.
Yeah, true.
That was back in 2020.
Yeah,
not too long. If you look at the competition she's faced,
she's fought a lot actually in like recent years.
Yeah,
she's like active.
She has.
Shit.
You know what? She beat Jacqueline Amarine. That was a good look. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Yasmin, just to be a little different. I'll say, I do believe this, though. I will say Yasmin Heri gets this one done by TKO. I'll say in round 2. I think we see a finish here. Let's move on to the next fight on the card. That is...
I think Zel Huber, right?
Is it Zel Huber?
Or am I tripping? Or is it Rosas?
It's Rosas.
Yeah, it's
the youngest fighter on the roster. It is Rosas Jr. He'll be taking on Ricky Terios. This line doesn't really make sense to me, man. Rosas only minus 250. I really think he should be minus 400 plus. I mean, the only thing you got to worry about is the cardio. And he was still hanging in there with Christian Rodriguez. Like, he survived 15 minutes. Christian Rodriguez is a really good fighter, in my opinion. He still survived. He didn't get finished. This is Ricky Terios. This is a completely different story. Terios, I believe, got taken down like a shit ton of times by Kevin Natividad in his last fight.
Damn, it was a lot.
Like 8 times or something crazy. So. I think Raul Rosas is going to style on this guy. Remind me, has Ricky Terios ever been submitted in his career? I don't believe so.
He has not. No, he has not. But
I think this could be the first time. I think this could be the first time he gets submitted. This guy has 0 takedown defense. Or here's the thing. I'm going to change my prediction. Ooh. I feel like Raul Rosas wants to prove to people that he can go 15 minutes, especially after that stunt he pulled against Christian Rodriguez. I think we could see either a late finish from Raul Rosas, maybe late second, round 3 finish, or even a decision. I feel like he wants to prove to the masses that the cardio is there. So, I think Raul Rosas dominates this fight. Line doesn't make too much sense. I think he should be a much bigger favorite. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, Ricky Terios never been finished inside the UFC or on The Ultimate Fighter. He was not finished, but... I mean,
he won the Ultimate Fighter.
Exactly. He won the Ultimate Fighter. And so in his UFC career, 1 loss, never been finished. And I think that's kind of why the odds are the way they are. People thinking that his durability is going to get him through this fight. But to your point, getting taken down that many times by Natividad, Raul Rosas Jr. is going to have no issue, I think, getting to his back. And that's my thing with Raul Rosas Jr. In the Christian Rodriguez fight, he lost it. It was a really bad look, but people's expectations going into that were that he was going to win that fight, so it made it look a lot worse. But to your point, he still did well enough to survive in that fight. But this guy, if he gets to your back, is a real problem. He's one of those guys that does not lose that position. He immediately knows how to lock up that body triangle. He's not going to get off you easily at all. And I just think that he's going to have too many of those opportunities against Ricky Terios. So I think he gets this done by finish. I know you're saying some maybe a little hesitancy there. For me, I really think he gets it done in his home state, or not his home state, but his home crowd in his corner. Yeah, I think he gets it done by finish.
I'm going Rosas as well. And so far, we're saying 3 Mexicans are winning on this main card. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's move on to this next fight. It's going to be Zel Huber versus Francisco Prado. a fight between very young prospects. I believe one's 24, 25, and one is 21. How old's Zel Huber? I know Prado's 21.
Zel Huber's 24 now. So.
24.
That's good, though. I'm telling you, that's good.
This is going to be a great fight.
Yeah.
Francisco Prado, off the top of my head, he made his UFC debut against Jamie Mullarkey. Lost a pretty dominant decision.
Yeah.
Lost a pretty dominant decision. Came back over the summer and brutally finished Othman Azaitar. Othman Azaitar, a guy people used to be very high on back in like 2019, 2020, but he's kind of fallen off. And Francisco Prado just went out there and exposed this guy and just demolished him in round one. The thing about this matchup, Prado looked incredible in that fight, but Zel Huber is a completely different fight. The one, I'd be going Zel Huber all day, every day in this fight, but he got dropped in round one against Christos Giagos. I believe we watched that. This was back in September. We watched this together. He got dropped in round one, but he survived and he got the finish. It's different styles. I think Prado could definitely hurt Zel Huber. I don't know if I necessarily see a knockdown, but this guy Prado is next level durable. So I'm going to pick Daniel Zel Huber by decision. This guy, I was so high on Daniel Zel Huber coming off of the Contender Series. He looked so good. And I'm not going to lie, I put a lot of money on him in his UFC debut against Trey Ogden. This was last year. Was this 2022 or 2023?
Yeah, this was 2022.
Yeah, 2022 against Trey Ogden. And then the thing about Trey Ogden is he just finds a way to slow the fight down. And he's going to utilize that, especially against the younger guy that's debuting in the UFC. He did exactly that against Zel Huber. He's not going to have to worry about that against Francisco Prado. Prado's going to bring a war. I think Zel Huber avoids the big strikes. I'll say wins a decision, but again, a late finish is not off the table. What do you think?
Yeah, I got to agree once again. Zel Huber, I think the age being on his side here is going to help him. Being 21 being pit against a 24-year-old as talented as Daniel Zel Huber is tough for Francisco Prado, and he is very talented, don't get me wrong. That Azaitar finish, so beautiful. That the spinning elbow came out of nowhere, hit him kind of behind the ear, knocked him down, finished it easily on the ground. He is very dangerous, but Zel Huber's really good. His head movement is really good now. And the thing about it in that Ogden fight, I thought, the cardio was the big question, right? Coming off the Contender Series wins, he did really well, and then the cardio was a big question. And then obviously in the Giagos fight, he got dropped, and then it's like questioning the chin, but he survived that, and he got the finish, and it was a submission finish. So I think that again shows his maturity, shows his advancement, the progress that he's making. And I just think this is another scenario in where the experience is definitely going to factor in here against somebody that's 21 years old. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC. Jamie Mullarkey lost by decision. That's not really good. I think this is a good spot for Zel Huber. Again, that Mexico City crowd, we've seen it like multiple times. Alexa Grasso out there the last time. They get so wild, man. I think it's going to really help these fighters out, man. So yeah, I got to agree with you. I think Zel Huber gets it done. And I'm going to say he finishes it. I'm going to say he finishes it because, bro, honestly, I know Prado, he's very durable, only lost one time. I really think Zel Huber is very talented, and you saw that talent shine through on the Contender Series. I think now is the time to make a statement and remind people of why we were so high on him. So I could see him get a finish. It's tough. It's not like the safe bet or anything, but I could see it. So I'm gonna say it.
I don't think he gets the finish. I mean, Prado, you look at that Jamie Mullarkey fight, he just took a lot of shots at the face and just ate him.
Yeah, but it's Jamie Mullarkey, bro.
It is Jamie Mullarkey. Come on. It is Jamie Mullarkey. Zel Huber, I think it's on the table. I will say Zel Huber by decision. Guys, I hate that this is boring, but we're picking all favorites. We're picking all Mexicans as well. But it's for good reason. I mean, we're breaking this down. I mean, we really think these fighters are going to win. Let's move on to this co-main event. Co-main event on a fight night that's 5 rounds.
I love that.
Rarely see this. And maybe this is the first time we've seen a co-main event on a fight night be 5 rounds. Have we seen this before?
On a fight night, I don't think we have, honestly. Right? Yeah, not for a non-title fight. Yeah, no, I don't think.
And this deserves it, and I'll tell you.
Wait, it was when Benavidez and Figueiredo was a fight night. Who was the co-main? Was there another?
There was no
fight?
championship.
No,
fight.
yeah,
I
all right. So
believe
never mind.
Yeah. Yair Rodriguez versus Ortega, and I'm glad they did that 5-round thing because, folks, I was at that first fight back in July of 2022 before the Hookshot pod even existed. I was at that fight. And it was an incredible card. The atmosphere was through the roof heading into the main event. Good round 1. Fight hits the mat, and Yair Rodriguez, does he make Brian Ortega's shoulder pop out? Some argue he did, some argue he didn't. I do think his motion, I wouldn't necessarily say he had an armbar locked in, but just the motions, and it caused Ortega's shoulder to pop out. Heading into that fight, what's real interesting is I believe Rodriguez was around a plus 135 underdog. Now he's sitting around plus 150, minus 150, minus 155. And I think that's because people saw that round one. I mean, Yair Rodriguez was piecing up. I wouldn't say piecing up, but he had the activity. He was hitting Ortega with clean shots, and then it looked like he was holding his own when he hit the mat. But I feel like the main reason why the odds flipped is because of Ortega. Like, we don't know what's going on with this guy. He's 32. It would seem like he's in his physical prime, but he's been through so many surgeries. I mean, obviously, he came back. This is back in 2020. Came back after like 2 years off and looked incredible. But these are even more surgeries now. And I don't know, man. I don't know. This guy it seems like he's beat up almost. I feel like Yair Rodriguez is not only the younger fighter, but he's the fresher fighter, the healthier fighter. And I do think Ortega will have success if this fight gets extended. But regardless, I think Yair Rodriguez, if this hits the judges' scorecards, I think he wins 3 rounds. I don't know if I'm going to say Yair by finish. This is one I'm going Yair Rodriguez as my pick. Another fight in which I don't know if he gets the finish or if this fight goes the distance. Give me a second to think about it. I'll pass it over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell the people real quick. I tried to watch, because this is a 5-minute free fight on YouTube. I watched it in class, but I was half paying attention. And I come back
Wait, you were watching it in class? What is wrong with you?
I'm sorry, guys. Bad student.
Bad student.
But no, I come back and I tell Lucas, I think Ortega might win this fight. He looked like he was, landing enough in it. And he's like, bro, are you serious? Let's watch it right now. So we rewatched it again, and I was actually paying attention. Yair was piecing him up on the feet. And that's the thing about Ortega. I think that Yair is the more well-rounded fighter in this matchup. And on the feet is where this fight is going to take place for the most part, because Ortega is a great jiu-jitsu fighter. Right? Some of the best submissions I've ever seen. But he doesn't consistently have the ability to get you to the ground. He can hold you against the clinch, try to trap you with like a jump guillotine or some shit. But he's not going to, wrestle you. And that's where I think Yair is going to have the ability to keep this fight standing for a lot of the time. And I don't think he finishes him, because Ortega is durable, and I do expect him to come into this fight with a little bit of a smarter approach, similar to how we saw him. You guys will remember this because I watched it with my friend the other day. He came back and fight Korean Zombie after such a long time off, got his ass whooped by Max Holloway, got sent into hiding, came back. Bald head, all that shit. And he looked so good in that fight. He had a beautiful spinning elbow knockdown. I mean, it looked like a completely different fighter. I think that's the type of Brian Ortega we're going to see in this fight. A little bit more patient, not as crazy. He was a little crazy in that last Yair fight. He was. And I just don't see him after all these surgeries that he's had. He's now feeling healthy. He's 32 years old. You question the durability, but he's 32 years old. This is the middle of your prime as a fighter, excuse me. And that's all that to say. I think Yair Rodriguez probably wins this fight by decision, just because I think on the feet, even with Brian Ortega taking a cautious approach, Yair still has the advantage because of how versatile and dangerous he is from all angles, all areas, at all times. He just finds a way to get it done. You guys remember this freaking 6-12 behind his head elbow with 0 seconds left on the clock against the zombie. I mean, this guy has every trick in the book. And against somebody like Ortega, who's a little more fundamental, I think he's going to have the bigger moments. So I could definitely see him winning this fight by decision. That's going to be my pick. Brian is very durable. He's proven that. But yeah, I got Rodriguez, excuse me.
Yeah, I am going to pick Yair Rodriguez by decision. I mean, Ortega is next level durable. And, the reason I was thinking about does Yair get the finish is because Ortega has been through so many of those wars that maybe the time has come. But I don't think so. I don't think his time has come yet to get brutally finished. I will pick Yair Rodriguez to win by decision. Another thing, the Mexican crowd will be behind Yair Rodriguez, going crazy for this guy. Every single strike he lands, even if this fight ends up being a very close fight that goes to the decision, the Mexican fans, they're going to be screeching every single time Yair lands a strike, and I think that will convince the judges as well. I'm going to pick Yair Rodriguez to win this fight by decision. It's main event time, folks. Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Royval. We already saw this fight once back in 2020. Brandon Moreno was looking good. Royval was looking pretty good as well. The fight hit the mat. Odd transitions and sweeps, and next thing you know, Brandon Royval's shoulder popped out. That's actually crazy because back-to-back
Yeah,
fights. The
rematches,
first fight,
the same exact thing happened. This is
very
crazy.
similar injury.
This is wild.
As a matter of fact, the exact same injury. Man, that was such a brutal finish to watch because his shoulder popped out. Then you just see Moreno just pounding for like a good 7 seconds. And now we get to see this fight again. Here's the thing about this fight. I think both of these fighters have improved, but I do think Brandon Moreno's improved a little bit more since that fight. Brandon Royval, both these fighters don't really have weaknesses. Like Royval, very, very, high pace, high volume striker. Not the best striking defense, but it's great. It's a great chin. Excuse me. And then on the mat, I mean, he's got great transitions, great submissions. And then Brandon Moreno, this guy, I mean, I struggled to find holes in this guy's game. I mean, durable, volume's there. He's got some decent power as well. He used to have zero power, but, you see in that Davis and Figueiredo fight, he, made his eye just swell up. But there's one gaping hole between both of these fighters, and it's Brandon Royval's takedown defense. And I think that's where this fight lies. I think if Brandon Moreno's smart, and if he mixes in takedowns, he can win this fight very easily. And there's only 2 fights you have to look at with Brandon Royval when I'm talking about his takedown defense. We'll start with his past fight against Alexandre Pantoja. Got taken down 8 times and showed barely any resistance to those takedowns. Even when Pantoja looked like he was gassed, he just kept landing takedowns with ease and holding them down as well. But then you look a few years ago. I mean, you could say, oh, it's Alexandre Pantoja. That's going to happen to anybody. No, Rogerio Bontorin also took this guy down 8 times. If these guys are doing it to him, I don't think Brandon Moreno scores 8 takedowns. I think he'll probably score like 4 or 5, but I think it'll be enough to win this fight. I'm going to say he wins either by submission or decision. I will pick a submission for Brandon Moreno. I think he'll catch the back of Royval and find that rear naked choke at some point in this fight. I'd like Moreno to win this one. What do you think?
You are going full Mexican sweep. I think so, right?
Yep.
We're both agreeing.
Yep,
I think so. And guys, look, sometimes in these high level fights, especially at freaking flyweight where the pace is so high, there's so much shit going on. It's a game of inches, bro. And you alluded to it in your first point. I think Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval, they've both improved so much. Brandon Royval impressed the hell out of me in his last fight against Pantoja. I thought he won, a decent amount of that fight if you're judging it just based on the totality of it. He was doing a really good job. But Brandon Moreno has just improved a little bit more, like you said, and he's got a little less holes, a little in his game, a little less things to worry about. And that's what it comes down to. Brandon Royval, he's got, a frantic style. He's got that, what if factor. What if he pulls this out? What if he does this? But Brandon Moreno is so smart and he's so conservative. I think that he's just going to have an easier time getting to his strengths. And to your point, one of those is his grappling, because when he shows it off, I mean, in that Figueiredo fight, it was on full display. This guy is a dangerous grappler. And I just think Brandon Royval is a little too sloppy for somebody like Moreno, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities, a lot of openings for him to get to positions like the back and, dangerous positions, maybe a guillotine or something like that. Like, there's a lot of times where Royval will leave his neck out there or himself in a compromising position. So, yeah, I think Moreno is going to have a lot more success getting to his spots, if you will. And, I'm not going to say finish, honestly. I don't know. It's tough because he could definitely sub him. I think that's the path, because I don't think we see a knockout on either side. Both of these guys, so durable. Man, I think the only way for Brandon to finish him, is by submission. And I think... I don't know. I just think Brandon Royval will survive. So, and he did so in the last fight against a dangerous guy in Pantoja, who is probably even better than Brandon Moreno at getting to the back and subbing you. So, yeah, I think he survives, but I think Moreno just does enough. And man, I'm so sorry, guys, that we were boring in a way, in a sense. But man, this is just how we feel. I'm sorry. That's just how it is.
Yeah, man. 6 for 6, all favorites. We agree on every single fight. But I think we end up being 6 for 6 on our predictions.
Yes,
folks.
Full
Sweep is right. Folks, that's all we got for you today. If you want everything Hookshot related, it will be in the description of this video. Let us know in the comments. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? We would love to know. Let's have a little war in the comments.
Yeah.
It's been Lucas. It's been Rohan. We're signing off.
Peace
out.